Alright, we are getting back at it here today. We had about a half an inch of rain roll in here Wednesday afternoon. Shut us down. Now we're back up and going again. And I just ran a stone, which is probably a wad of hay, because I still have my stone detector sensor sensitivity set just a little too high. And we're gonna leave it that way because there is some stones on this farm as well. We've got the C5 on the red moss trailer. The Peterbilt doesn't have enough hydraulic flow and it won't run this trailer good enough. The 900 unloads it in just a couple of seconds, 35 seconds or something like that. We had to unhook it the other night, and Jared had to hook the 900 on it to unload it. The 500 here, the C500 that's hooked to it now, was hauling manure. So this field here is just north of the Hanson gravel pit. Hanson's actually own it. And we're gonna flip this over to hay. So once we get this hay off, we're gonna come in here with a pottinger and hit it one time, and then we'll plant corn in here. We were gonna do some no-till, but the pottinger did such a good job on the other hay fields that we flipped over, that we're going to use it on this as well. That was another stone. You can see the stone detector over there. So we'll get this loaded up. We'll join back in with you, and we'll see how things go here. You'll have to let me know what looks better on this trailer. Does the C500 look better, or does the white Peterbilt look better on it? Which one looks better, I guess what I'm trying to say. Now, what makes the whole difference in the whole world is that decal that's on the back of the C500. I'll zoom in. Once I go to edit this, I'll zoom in, and you guys will be able to get a better look at that decal there. So one might say, Andy, why are you getting rid of this hay? It looks pretty good. Well, you're right, but second cutting probably won't be worth the damn. And it is timed out. We would have had this planted to corn already, but we should have plowed it early and planted it early. But when we did get down here to plow this as well, the hay was just a little too big, so it would have been a real pain in the butt to plow this and then try to fit it with all the extra vegetation there. So we decided to take first cotton off, and then we'll put silage in here, and what that'll gain us is being able to have some green silage towards the last tail end of filling bunk. So that'll give you an idea of what that is all about. So we got Jared and Colton over there waiting on deck here. Well, there he goes. He's headed back to the bunk, and Colton's just rolling in here. We've got Nate with truck 18, and it looks like Sarah is in behind him. Looks like we got a tree down here that we're gonna have to push out. That looks like a big one. Hanson's gravel pit is just on the other side of them trees over there. All right, we are done here for tonight. Before we leave the field, we're gonna go ahead and blow the chopper all off. I have removed the head. I've got fuel pumping into fuel tank on the chopper. I pulled the air cleaner, and I have also taken the panels off of the back side of the knife drum and whatever, and we'll blow this whole area out, wipe the windows down, do all that stuff. Well, we got to get all the chaff off of everything so we can sharpen the knives in the morning. Before we sharpen the knives, we're going to have to replace the sharpening stone, which is over on that right hand side over there. That stone is right up to the mounting pad, and the knives are in relatively good shape coming to the end of today compared to what they looked like here this morning before I sharpened them. We do have a knife that's a little bit out of whack on that far side, but we're not really going to worry about that. Right at the moment, we were in some 2-year-old seedings today, and that wasn't as bad as what we were into here yesterday. Now, we haven't shown you the feed rolls on this, but it's got a fresh set of feed rolls in this. Kaz put them in here ahead of the season this year, and the ones that came out of this, they were all bent. Most of these plastic pieces that are on the back side of the rasp bars were broke, and it was workable, but it was just to the point where they figured we probably should have replaced them. Now, this bottom one is the feed roll that has the magnet in it, and you got to be careful how far that bottom feed roll gets dented in, because that magnet's about like this thick, and it's about that tall, and it sits in the center of that feed roll, and that feed roll has to have enough room to get around that magnet. And if there's a dent in the feed roll when the material comes into the machine, it could cause that magnet to false trip. So guys run into that trouble if that bottom feed roll gets dented in too much. These feed rolls are all made out of stainless steel, and if a piece of metal should happen to come in, it triggers that magnet, and then when it triggers the magnet, it shuts the cutter head off and allows you to stop before it ends up entering the knife drum. So I've got a leaf blower that I'm going to use to blow this off when we're far away from home. That's what I end up using. When I'm near home and can park at home for the night, I end up using that big air compressor that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and crawl around this thing quick. Usually the amount of time it takes me to blow everything off is the amount of time it takes to pump fuel into this, and I get done right about the same time the fuel gets done. So we'll blow this all off, wipe the windows down, get the fuel hose rolled up, and we'll head on out of here. We'll join back up with you guys in the morning, and we'll show you how the sharpening stone goes in. I have shown that probably 4 times now in videos, but we got to show it at the beginning of the season here, right? So let's go ahead and get this machine blown off so I can get home and get something to eat. I've got to put a sharpening stone on the chopper, but before we do that, I figured I'd come over and get fuel in both of the tractors that are hooked to the mergers here. This is the 334 Oxbow merger, and we've got the 330 hooked to the 8320. This is the 8120. The beauty with this fuel trailer that we have here, it's not one of them expensive ones, although I'd like to have an expensive one, but not right now. The beauty with this fuel trailer is we've got a 12 volt pump on one side and 120 volt, regular 110, 15, whatever they are, volt pump on the other side. We could power that other pump that's on the right hand side of the trailer with the welder, and if we don't have the army truck or the service truck hooked to this trailer, we could just use the 12 volt pump that's on this left hand side of the tank and get either power from the piece of equipment that we're putting fuel in, or we can just get power from the battery on the truck that we're pulling the trailer with. The other nice feature that this tank here has is we can fill two machines at the same time, or if you're in a real big hurry, you can put both fuel nozzles in the same tank. The only problem with this thing is it's only a 300 gallon tank. It's just barely enough fuel to get the two merging tractors full, for example, and the chopper for one day, but it is working. This tank here was Jim's tank. Jim, one of the guys I had breakfast with a couple days a week. He might recognize this tank here when he's watching this video, but we got that from him several years ago. Put a frame on the bottom of it and slapped it on the trailer and bolted it down and did things that way. So these are just about full of fuel, both of these tractors that is. We'll run over, put that sharpening stone on, and we're gonna have some trucks rolling in here. These mergers are parked on the Sam Dell property. This is the third year that we have chopped this. Last year, well, the first year we chopped it, we had a lot of barbed wire. Well, not barbed wire, it was wire to deal with around the edges of all these fields. And it was a mongrel to chop the first three cuttings that first year. Last year was a lot better. We had minimal wire that we picked up with the chopper, and I'm assuming this year that we're gonna see like very little as well. So we've got a heavy dew this morning, which is nice. It keeps this hay green. We had some issues the first day with the hay being too dry, but as we went on the last few days here, things have been real nice. So we'll join back up with you once we get back over to where the chopper's parked here. We'll kind of show you what that sharpening stone job looks like going in. We'll get the knives sharpened, and then we'll be able to start in chopping. This one over here clicked off already. This one's full. This tractor has been running great, by the way. It's we've put enough hours on it to change the oil for the first time. We changed the oil out at 100 hours, and it's been working out real good. Well, we are back over here to the chopper. We're going to change out this sharpening stone. We've got a new one right here. I've showed this. I've done videos on this several times. I thought I would just do another one. So this is the apparatus that holds the stone here. Got the knives down in there. Now, those of you that run these choppers, you know what I'm talking about. We're just describing this for guys that might not know how this stuff works. So some of it's all pretty basic to the guys that run this stuff, but at any rate, What we're going to do is we're going to take this paw off of here that locks the stone advancement into place. We're going to pull that stone up. We're going to take this bolt out. There's a bolt right here that is hooked to the mechanism that is on this chain. So this chain just runs back and forth to pull that stone sweep from one side to the other. I'm going to swing that over to here. And right about in there somewhere, we're going to be able to drop the stone out, pull the old one out, set the new one in there, bolt it up into place. Tools required for this job is a 13mm wrench, a 15mm socket, and an 18mm socket. So this bolt, this 8mm bolt here, takes this 13mm wrench. That just releases this little locking paw, and this will allow us to pull the stone up. We need to pull the stone up so that when we put the new one in, it's not jammed into the knife itself. I can't quite see it that well, so we're going to take this bolt out that holds the guy in place here. This is an 8mm bolt. Neatly take this out, put this in my pocket so I don't lose it. We can push this guy over like that, and then I'm gonna leave it about here, I think. Now we have some 10mm studs on this stone, and this takes a 15mm socket. Pull these nuts off. This sharpening stone, they cost about I don't know, this one's $130, I believe. Careful you don't drop the nut. I've dropped the nut before, and usually I luck out every time. And it ends up right on top of the knife drum. It doesn't fall down in, but now that we're filming this time, I'll probably lose one. You don't want to drop a nut, that's for sure. So we're going to push this guy over to there, and then this is the aluminum bracket that has the abrasive stone has gone off of it, and it looks like I have taken this down to just barely got it down to there's not much left here, in other words. Let's toss that guy there. See if we can't push this over to here, get it up in there. Pull this way just a little bit. Sometimes if you get it in there, and then I got my finger caught. Bring it over and set it on top of a knife. Then you can set your nuts on. Let's get your nuts on there. This is a rather easy job. There's a couple different ways that you can do this. They do have a window, or a door rather, on this one side. That allows you to take the stone out without unhooking the cable. It's not a cable on this one, it's a chain, but on the 7000s, it is a cable that this mechanism here hooks to. All this mechanism is just a, it's got like a rotating gear, if you will, and when this goes over to that side, we'll show you how it works. A paw hits this gear and it just drops this stone ever so gradually, so that every time it's sweeping across the knives, as the stone wears off, it is advancing itself down so that there's the proper amount of abrasive material hitting the knife. So I do have this one knife here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. This one's pushed back a little bit, but we're gonna ignore that. We're gonna pretend we didn't see that. And we'll just leave that be. Got those tight. And we've got this one tight. So I'm not sure. All right. I spun this down. I've got it about in the place it needs to be, so that once it starts, it can kind of, it's hovering a little high on the knife, but that's all right. Get this lock paw back into place. Be a little easier to put it on now than when it's over at home. Now I just get this guy back there. Get our metal pad down into place. There's a little, like a little nub, little tit on there that fits down over the sharpening stone mechanism. Get my 8mm bolt out here. All right, that has started. Oh, come on. Chinese sockets are jammed on the extension here. Alright, that's torqued. Now we can go ahead and start our knife sharpening process. We will put tools away while the knives are sharpening. Now another way to replace this stone, I actually forgot how this works, but there is a door right here. There's two 8mm bolts in there. You can see the piano hinge. Right here, you take these bolts out. That'll hinge out of the way. And that'll allow you to take the stone out right here. But it is a real cute job to get the nuts off of the stone on this right-hand side. I mean, that is a mongrel right there. So you will drop them. You will fight it. And you'll be 3 times to maybe 5 times longer doing it the prescribed way than doing it the way we did right here. So let's go ahead and, well, I thought I'd put the tools away while this was sharpening, but we'll go ahead and pick them up. We don't only have a few items here. All right, we'll fire up here. Let everything come to life here. into the cutter head page. We'll run it 40 times. Usually we run 25. Yesterday I ran over the knives 3 times, and we did 40 times each. So that we went over the knives 120 times yesterday. We're going to have a few times where it goes across the knife that's not going to be quite adjusted, so just go ahead. We can choose to sharpen the knives then automatically set shear bar. I always just sharpen the knives, check the knives, and then set the shear bar accordingly. Sometimes I have to run through a couple of different sharpening modes. The knife drum is going to spin up to about 350 RPMs, 340, 350, and that is just starting to sweep back and forth across the knife. So we'll go ahead and we'll check on that. We can load inoculant while that's sharpening. We'll wait to put our head on. We might sprinkle a little water on here. Let it do its thing. You can kind of get an idea how that works, and then we'll join back up with you once we get rolling here. I've got tools to put away. Here is what that old sharpened stone looks like. We just got it wore down. We could have got maybe 10 more passes out of this. I have taken them down to the point where it gets into the aluminum, and that's no good. Well, we've chopped for a couple of hours here. I had new seeding on the other side of the road here. We're on the Hudson farm, and I've got a gap in truck. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the shear bar. We try to do this a couple of times during the day. The professionals would like to think that you should sharpen the knives halfway through the day, but I don't really like to do that. We talked about that in one of the previous videos here. And the reason why we don't like to do that is because of all this dry chaff here and up on the back side of the knife drum. So we'll let that adjust. Maybe do it again in a few hours. I do have a truck coming in on us here right now. So we'll join up with you in a little while here. We'll kind of show you all the guys that we got trucking here today. We got Lucan's just pulling in now, and Alex is over there. Well, we've got Nate Lucan's running this truck. This is truck 10. The first day we started chopping, he didn't make it. Well, he made it up to the Four Corners in Navarino, and the truck quit. We've had some problems with it before. It's a Sterling, so it's got some issues. The main fuse panel they put right above the left tire, the front left tire, and we've had issues with broken or rotted wires and whatever. We figured that's all it was going to be. Jared monkeyed with it for a little while, and they ended up dragging it up the road and put it in one of our fields. A couple of days later, they went up to get the truck out of the field, and it started right up. So they drove it around some, and then they found that it had a broken ground strap wire. So it's up and going again, and it looks like it's going to stay going. So you can see quite a bit of dust rolling out of this hay, but it's actually running right at 61% moisture, and we're hitting right around 24% protein on the protein side of things here. So we've got a little bit left to do here, and then we're going to move over to where the mergers were parked. Davey and Andrew, they're moving right along over there, and we're hoping to hold on to this moisture that's in the hay. The first couple of days when we started chopping, man, it was 90-some degrees. And the sun was really doing its trick on drying this hay down. And the hay got away from us. If you recall that first day of chopping there, it got away from us. So we are able to hold on to the moisture here. And we're just gonna keep her lit. Got Alex on deck with the Freightliner. This is a goofy shaped field. We got a triangular side over there, so every windrow gets shorter than the one previous to it. Loaded. Alex will slide in there and we'll load her. I don't know if there's any other trucks here. We do have one truck sitting, and that is the Freightliner, the older one. We got a little chunk of hay here. Now, Sarah or Alex is gonna grab it. Sometimes we roll up on these skips here, and we just get them gathered in the head and shut the head off quick. You can do that by just hitting the reverse button. That'll shut the head off, and then we can gather it and take it to the next windrow. So we got a little bit of a wad here left from the merger. Looks like they dragged it for a little way, so we'll have to slow down. Raise the head, we'll take the top off of it. Oh, it plugged the head. Ouch. Alex is saying, good one, buddy, good one. So we'll back that out, stretch it out. Boy, it's still a little, we'll just ease up to it here. Alright, like I said, this is the triangular shaped part of this field, so we'll keep at her. Well, we've got Colton pulling in with the red moss trailer. We got that hooked to the C5. We've got to get a hydraulic system, a better one, put into that Peterbilt. I think I talked about that. Well, I'm kind of lost in what I've got going on for videos there. It was either earlier in this video or the last one. And I don't know if I asked earlier on in this video or the last one which truck looks better, or which configuration looks the best here. Does the we got the three choices. We have the 900 and the black moss. We've got the white Peterbilt with the red moss, and we have the C5 with the red moss trailer. You guys will have to tell me what you think looks the best here. Another wad. So we just let that work on that. Chew it up, spit it back out again. We got the power lines going across this field. There's a guide wire hooked between the two poles there. That's always a nice one. We're gonna get to the end of this windrow, even if we have to load the top of the cab. That's what that space is for. So we got Colton rolling up, he's on deck, and Sarge just pulled in with truck 18. So we'll let Alex get going, and we'll just do, it's kind of a goofy turn to come back in around that, so we'll just go this way. Colton, he's gonna follow, and Alex will get her load back. So drop a comment down below, which configuration looks better? The C5 with the moss, the Peterbilt with the moss, or the 900 with the black moss? Get dialed in here. That Colton, pretty good driver. He moves that tractor trailer around like he's been driving for years. I don't know if I shown that sticker there the other day. I'll zoom in on that. I can't find them anymore. They used to be on eBay, and was it eBay? Yeah, I think it was eBay that I found that sticker, and I can't find them anymore. So I don't know. A lot of truth to that sticker, isn't there? This trailer is identical to the black one. Same length, same measurement, everything. Just these, the C5 and the 900, they got a big hydraulic system on them. Built right. And put together right, for that matter. And they run these trailers quick, real quick. We actually had a hydraulic pump that we replaced on the 900. Something went wrong with it, and evidently it had been slowly wearing out. I'm surprised they ran the trailer as good as it did last year, but with that new hydraulic pump we got on the 900, it runs that trailer, or unloads that trailer, even faster than it did before. So we better pay attention to things here. We want to get a nice load on him, get him out of here. We might, yeah, looks like we got maybe 3 loads left here. Well, we've got Colton just about loaded here. Sarge is on deck, and Sarah is coming up in behind Sarge. So Sarge is running truck 18, and it looks like we could get it on these 2 trucks here. Field's getting smaller and smaller, or shorter and shorter in length rather, and we should be able to get this done on these 2 trucks. got just a little bit more to put on, Sarge. I don't know if I can squeeze another windrow on there or not, but being that we're far enough away from home, we want to load them all. We've got a little bit of a chunk of hay here to grab. Yep, at that, we'll put a little more on him. Gotta make sure I don't back into a truck that's up close. We've got Sarah on deck, and Jared's waiting too. So Sarah wants to get loaded. She says, the heck with you, Sarge, you got enough on. But there ain't enough here to load her anyway, so Sarge might make it an ultimate decision. No, Sarah moved out of the way. So we'll get a little bit more on Sarge here, and then we'll cut him loose. And then we've got to move a few miles away to the next farm here. We're not going to get the cab shield full. We're going to let him go. There is a mirror. You're loaded. There is a mirror that we have right up on right up behind us, right here, that the drivers can see. They can somewhat see what they've got loaded on their truck. So it's a combination of guessing whether or not they've got enough on and maybe getting a hand signal. For me, that's how they determine whether or not they can cut and run. Now it's a real mongrel coming into these turns here. This part. This part of the field here is, the hay is quite a bit drier than what we were chopping on the other side of the field. It's a little lighter, and it was cut quite a few hours earlier than the rest of it. So Sarah blew a radiator hose on this Freightliner here yesterday, and Nate and Jaden helped her get fixed up. They got lucky. They were able to get a section of radiator hose from Napa. They were closer to Napa than they were to home once Nate figured out what was wrong with it. Because Sarah couldn't tell what hose was blown because everything was so hot and everything was steaming and whatever. So that's up and running. We'll put this windrow here and the next one on her, and then we'll move to the next field and we'll join back up with you guys there. We'll do a little video when we load Jared, and we've got one more truck that you haven't seen yet, and that's truck 8 that my nephew Fitzy's driving, and then we're gonna close out this video. Alright, so we just rolled into this next farm here. This hay is a little greener than what the hay was like on the Hudson farm. This was cut a day later. And this is the 3rd year on this crop here. And when we first had this seeded down, the first year that we chopped over on this farm, we had a mongrel of a time picking up wire. So it has been getting better every cutting, and last year we had a minimal amount of wire that we picked up while we were chopping on this farm. So I suspect that we're going to be more or less dealing with normal conditions. The first year I chopped this farm, I'm surprised I didn't wear the door hinges out on the door. I had gotten in and out of this chopper so many damn times, and we had trash cans full of wire that we picked up from what the chopper had caught with the magnet that's on the chopper here. So we'll keep at it here. We've got Jared up next, and then Fitzy is after Jared, and then Jaden is after Fitzy, and Jaden is the last truck in line here. Alright, Sarah is loaded. Now we got Jared coming in on deck here. We had run a piece of wire just about 100 yards back before we had Sarah full, and it was in the same spot that we had picked up wire for the last few years here. So I don't know, when we can't find the wire, we end up grabbing the wad of hay and we just end up throwing it in the woods. And sometimes the little piece of wire or whatever it is will fall out on the ground. You never see it again, and you pick it up again the next cutting. So this is a busy road, as you can see when we pulled in the field there. This is Route 5, and it's busy for a Sunday. Got some trucks waiting. To move up the road. We got that one field done just down the road here. We've been just about one time around this field, and so far the magnet hasn't gone off yet. It went off once in the other field, and we found Jared found a little piece of wire or something. Holding the camera a corner and dealing with a fully loaded trailer is a little tricky to do with two hands here. I need a third arm. We had a very nice motorist coming the other way. The traffic is pretty busy here on Route 5 for a Sunday. He had maybe 10 cars behind him. We were waiting to get in this field. He stopped traffic the other way and let us all in. So we got Jared loaded, and we made it just about one time around here. We got just a little bit left. We got to make sure we duck underneath this It's a telephone line. So I'll just bring the pipe down a little bit. We'll graze that cable. That's actually a cable, probably a cable TV line. And then we'll let the next truck roll in here, which is my nephew Fitzy. So drop a comment down below. What looks better, or what looks the best out of these semi-trailers? Or for that matter, you can drop a comment down below which truck looks the best. So Fitz got his girlfriend riding with him. And he is driving truck 8. The first year we chopped this hay over here, we dealt with a lot of wire, and the reason why we dealt with a lot of wire, it must have been maybe 30 years ago, the previous owners, the Dell family, had beef cows that they ran on this farm here, and they had wire fences around every field. And after a while, though, after they quit farming or quit raising beef cows on here, the wire started to rot away, and it just kind of got mixed in with the soil. And then when we plowed it, oh boy, did we ever find wire. So we had a heck of a time in here the first year. Some of the windrows we left on the edge of the field and just either merged them into the woods, or there was spots where I lifted up over the top of what I spit out of the chopper, and I had 3 guys over here with pitchforks, and they were pitching the hay into the back of a silage truck and then dumping it in the woods. The only other thing that we could have done was we could have baled it and dumped that in the woods as well, but we were determined to get through with it. And it was a mongrel. It took me 3 times as long to chop it as it regularly would. We should be able to get across this in about 5 hours here. And the moisture is just right. I've got to make sure I duck underneath this cable TV line here. They're a little close. Got to pay attention. Get the pipe back up in the air, and we'll just keep on keeping on here. So I've got one more truck that you guys haven't seen the driver to yet, and we'll join in when this truck is loaded. There is truck number 8. That is loaded. That's our smallest truck. Shortest truck box. This one is probably the smallest as far as capacity goes. This truck 9, the truck box is 22 foot long, but it's only 6 foot high. And it's a little on the narrow side. So Jaden's driving this truck. Jaden is dating my niece, and he was working for us full time, and then he took another job working with the company that his father works for. So everything is going very nicely here. So far we haven't caught any metal or picked up any metal to speak of. And we'll just keep moving along here. So that's going to do it for this video. Garrett's got the Army truck over here, and we like to keep that right near the chopper if we can, just so that we have somewhat of a fire suppression device in case we run into problems, and we've got some tools that are readily available. So with that being said, folks, I want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you at the next video.